Hey guys, welcome to Re-Rick. My name is Albie, also known as Juan, better known as Albie. I'm joined today by my friends Carlos and Juan, and we just saw Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3, The Battle of Winterfell. At least that's what I think it's called. And we have a lot to say about it. Very quickly, I don't know if Carlos wants to start. What would you give the episode on a scale of 1 to 10?
6.5.
Oh, that's crazy.
Definitely, in my opinion, one of the worst episodes I've seen.
Oh, what?
To be completely honest.
That is interesting. That is interesting.
To be honest, I mean...
That's him being honest, folks.
That is utter nonsense. I mean, there is a whole lot more depth to this as far as just a battle. I mean, like, fuck that. I mean, I'm giving it an 8.5. I don't think it was perfect. I do not think it was perfect. But the fact that there's more depth to this battle than just it being a battle makes it definitely more than a 6.5.
But my problem isn't the battle. Just throwing that out there. So my problem is... Okay, I mean...
No, continue. Go for it. State your obvious. Let's just get into this.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to go out there and say... Oh, well, Albie, you got something to say?
Oh, no, I was just going to say my score for now is a 10 out of 10, but...
What the fuck? That's actually an interesting... Considering you and how critical you are, that's very interesting to hear a 10 out of 10 out of this guy.
It's a 10 out of 10
that's
for now.
That's never going to happen
but
forever.
It can change by the time the season's over, but we'll see. I'll go more into it, but
mind you,
Carlos, go.
Okay, yeah. I'm just going to let you go.
I mean, I don't even know where to begin, man. I mean, it started off really good. I mean, I think the panic in the beginning, just the tension of everybody preparing to possibly die, really sets the mood. But I think it falls short. And I think I do it to myself because I look too far into the lore of everything, into like not just what the TV show has to offer, but what Game of Thrones is about, what the books say and stuff like that. And honestly, I feel like the whole thing with the Night King just falls short, big time.
Well, I mean, don't you think that Game of Thrones, the fact that it's always been about going against tropes and everything, the fact that it built up all these tropes, the fact that you have a prophecy, you have this savior, and you have all these things that are tropes of fantasy, of the fantasy genre, the fact that this episode doesn't follow a single one, don't you think that's like... That's part of Game of Thrones in a sense, like the fact that it goes against all that, the fact that it doesn't stay true to those prophecies,
No, not at all. Not at all. Honestly, this entire episode did not feel like Game of Thrones at all. Honestly, and the further we get into this, argument, the more and more I'll state my point. This does not feel like Game of Thrones.
Dude, I mean, honestly, I get it. You're a fan of the books. Like, I fucking get it. But at the end of the day, like, would you want our theories to be correct? Would you want the fact that the lore deciphered how all this plays out? Like, the fact that it was a fucking... Literally, like, the whole time, I mean, you could ask Albie when I watched it with him. Like, I was like, what the fuck? This is completely out of our realm.
Yeah,
like, as far as what we anticipated to happen. Yeah. And the way it played out, it just shows many volumes of not only the characters, but just where the fuck they're going. Because I know in the last episode, we all depicted, like, I called this, me and you called this, actually, which was awesome, in my opinion. Oh, no. Beer break. I dropped a beer. I'll clean it. We called the fact that the Night King, was basically going to get eliminated. And, so be it, he did. And
you want to know what this all reminds me of? And the minute I say this, Albie's probably going to laugh at me or look at me super stupid. This all reminds me of The Last Jedi. Okay?
What? What? No.
Shut up.
No.
Shut up.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay, let me finish. Okay, so they introduced Night King in, season 4, right?
Uh-huh.
They hyped this motherfucker up.
No, I mean, he's introduced into, season 2 and stuff.
No, but you don't really get to see what he's about until about season 4, right? So they hyped this motherfucker up, right? He's coming for fucking Westeros. Right, he gets here, and he dies by being fucking fooled. Just grab a rag, bro. He dies by just being fooled, right? So it all reminds me of Kylo Ren, Snoke sitting on, his little chair. Kylo Ren does this little force thing and opens up the the lightsaber, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How is it that he can sense Jon coming right behind him, but he fucking completely misses Arya, and so do all of his other 13, White Walkers right behind him?
I mean, it's the thing about when you have heroes versus villains. Like when you look at a movie like The Matrix, which plays it really well, is that you see that all these minions, as it were, are just waiting to see what it is that their main guy is going to do. So, I mean, sure, there is a little bit of a plot hole in the fact that he doesn't sense Arya coming, but he does. I mean, he captures her, but he doesn't anticipate the second move that she makes, which is catching the dagger and then stabbing him in the gut, and then killing him. But I do think that the reason for me the episode is a 10 for now is because
that I don't agree with. Just so everyone knows.
See, for me, the fact that it's a 10 right now is because it did everything that we wanted to see.
No,
Well, hold on. Up until the Night King dies, it did everything that I wanted to see. I wanted to see Brienne and Jaime fight together. I wanted to see everybody get to the point where they almost were going to lose. But I noticed that when they were getting to that point where they were going to lose, I knew that the only way that they were going to get out of it is the Night King dying. Especially when they were getting surrounded. But the thing is, I think that what I will give the show for now is the benefit of the doubt of saying, like, I have to imagine that it's not that easy, and I have to imagine that there's something else that's gonna happen, because the thing is, Bran was looking into something. At first, it shows that he's looking into the crows, and the crows are observing the battle and stuff. But then you kind of lose track of what it is that Bran was looking into. So what is it like? After the crows, did he start looking into the past? Did he start looking into the future? Like, I have to imagine that there's something else that's going on.
Okay, but I mean, even the fact that, like, if you want to look at it that way, I don't think that's their main intention. I think a lot of where this landed was just the way they created the story. They kept you guessing. I mean, I was scared for my life. Like, the fact that there was very, like, what? I mean, if I could count it down, maybe 5 to 6 casualties at this point is amazing, because the fact that there's 3 more episodes and there's going to be more casualties leads me to wanting more. And I think the way they executed it, like you got to look at it, like, from the very beginning. So we go back to episode 2, and we talked about how Albie specifically wanted to see the power of the Night King with the Umbers dying. And you look at it, and no, it was episode 2.
That was episode 1 when the Umbers die.
Oh yeah, you're right. Any point is, he wanted to see them die because he wanted to see how powerful the Night King is, and you just see the Dothraki basically die.
Yeah.
Right, like in a blink of an eye. I mean, and I think that's basically an awesome way to display that power. And the fact that, there was a blizzard, there was fucking dragons fighting, and the fact that they showed a clear ambiance of, yes, this guy. So I see Carlos's point, because Last Jedi, if everyone knows, is fucking trash. And,
Agreed.
And
I don't agree at all.
Well, I mean, this podcast isn't about Last Jedi, but the point is that I get that, but the fact that the entire episode, if I wanted to stay surrounded on how they ended, and they made it very like, oh well, that's it. I liked how they executed. It was very misleading, and it was very. It makes me question what Jon's purpose is throughout this entire in this entire series, because the fact that Arya is the one to eliminate the Night King, and obviously all the Starks live, and a lot of their allies live, in a sense, as far as like the main protagonists. Like, it's just, it brings a lot to light that, like, yes, the Night King survival had to happen, but now they face Cersei and what that brings.
Yeah, and I'm totally excited about that. Like, just let me put that out there. Like, I'm not just completely like, okay, I give up on Game of Thrones because of the episode, but we just talked about how powerful the Night King is, right? So I think one of the coolest things I saw in this episode is the Dothraki being the first to take charge, right? Mm-hmm. And then you don't really see what happens, but you just see off in the distance where little by little these lights, their swords just start going up, right? and you just get that feeling of like, oh, these guys are getting fucked up, right? So we know that the Night King is powerful, super powerful, but what's disappointing to me is for him to die the way he died. It's just not satisfying, right? I would have liked to see, an actual battle, not necessarily between Jon, because Jon doesn't always need to be the hero. I saw that little, where the directors talk about it. He doesn't always need to be hero, and that's fine. But there's no fight with the Night King. You don't see the Night King enough in a battle, and that is what disappoints me.
Okay, so this is where I think I've been talking about like humility and overall just emotion through these characters, and not that Night King showed any of that. Mind you, he didn't. He's just a powerful badass, and
he showed some emotion. I mean, when he was being burned alive,
he smiled.
Yeah, he smiled.
He
smiled.
Yeah, I mean, again, not
you
reminiscing on that fact. All I'm saying on that end is that the fact that like, the way he goes through everyone, and he's cocky. Like he's just like, I'm gonna eliminate you no matter what you do.
Right.
And the fact that honestly, no one saw Arya's ending the way it ended.
Just to mention, Stephanie did predict that.
That's fair. I mean,
but it kind of makes sense because Arya has been training for the God of Death, and it kind of fits that she's the one that kills the literal God of Death.
And I'm okay with her being the one who deals the blow. I'm just not okay with the way they, went about Night King attacking Winterfell. Like, you don't see much of the Night King at all as far as, like, actually fighting. You see him fighting, with Daenerys and Jon up in the air, but you don't see them actually fight. And that is what's disappointing, in my opinion.
See, I get that. I mean, like, part of my bingo card at this point was to see Jon and Night King fight. But also, you got to think, like, generals, lieutenants, commanders, when you think of, like, real day officers, they're never necessarily in the fight. They do the plans, and at this point they see that they won, and they did. I mean, pretty much everyone's about to die within those 2 minutes.
But you see, that's the only reason I give the episode a 10 is because I'm still holding on to the hope that I think that it's just not that easy. I think that Cersei is an antagonist for the second half of the season. But I can't imagine that the Night King would be dumb enough to be destroyed like that. And sure, everyone falls, but I feel like there's got to be something else.
I honestly like he's done.
Night King's done.
Like honestly, he's done, man. There's no way that if they bring him back, that's just such a bullshit move. I mean, it's such a cheap way to exactly what he's arguing. That's such a cheap way to do it. Like, oh, let's just bring him back and let's have him end of all of humanity, which he's not. I mean, at this point, it's very clear that Cersei's the true evil. I think humanity is a true evil because they all basically, they're the reason of their own demise, and I think that's been a very symbolic thing of this show. And obviously, the Night King, obviously him being an obstacle in that, is showing the positive and the very human side of and that's just to add to that. That's why I love this episode. There's a part where Clegane is frozen. He is frozen because there is fire, there is enemies, there is everything that could possibly scare him. And he even says, "We're gonna die today. There's no reason to fight." And he sees Arya, and then I forgot his fucking name. Honestly, but Beric. He's just like, Beric. Yeah, Beric. Beric is like, well, why don't you tell her that? And then he looks at her and he's like, fuck, I need to fight. Yeah. And then he goes to continue that fight to go, basically not at the time you didn't know if they were going to save her or not, but he goes to just no, humanity, let's fight for humanity. And that's, and I think that's why for me, this episode means a lot because this was about survival. This was about, the biggest thing in their way to defeat them, the humanity in itself. Because, the fact that, they didn't continue it, because it was an obvious thing. If Night King continues, then, okay, cool, they band together and fight the Night King. Everyone saw that shit coming. And the fact that he's dead, yes, maybe it wasn't necessarily 100% justice, but the fact that Cersei, at the end of the day, because you got to think, how many soldiers do they have? They fucking don't have any. Everyone died, the Unsullied. the Dothraki, the Northern,
No,
they're done. Like,
and I totally get that. So the entire episode, right, the rest of it was good. I enjoyed it. Seeing the Hound fucking frozen there. Not really knowing how to go about things. Some of the deaths were freaking awesome. We'll get into that later. We'll talk about which death we liked the most. But I think what's the most disappointing thing for me is that you don't, in my opinion, introduce such a powerful character. Wait, hold on. You don't introduce such a powerful character and then he just, he gets defeated, in one episode. It's just like, to me, it's a letdown, dude.
I would have to agree on that part in the sense that hold on. Like me, the only reason why I would give this episode a 10 out of 10 is because I think the writers have something up their sleeve. Now, if the writers don't have anything up their sleeve and it's just Cersei who's going to be the villain in the end, while I think there's a possibility to make that interesting, I do think that yeah, the Night King dying right away, like, sure, it subverts the tropes that Game of Thrones is always fighting, right? But having something that has been built up for many, many seasons just die like that and stay dead will be it's confusing, it's annoying, and it's disappointing.
See, so when we talk about build-up here, there's no fucking build-up. I mean, look. When we're going back to the very first
disagree.
episode... No, see, so this is the very first episode. The very first episode, yes, they introduced the White Walkers. This is what captivated you to the show. Like, who the fuck are these fucking things? And then you go on for, like, what, 3 seasons, 4 seasons to actually get revealed
because they're
something.
building up their army, bro.
We'll see. Exactly my point. So the fact that it's about the people, it's not about the White Walkers this entire time. It's the fact that every time you look at good and evil, yes, it's clear. It's very fucking clear that evil is out there. But then when you look at the good that's surrounded, like, you got to think about the fucking genuineness of we're going to live or die in this situation.
So, I mean, for my part, I just don't see how... I mean, you can also get his if you want. For my part, I just don't see how Cersei is going to be as smart, as tactful as the Night King. Because if you look at the whole Battle of Winterfell, the Night King had some pretty smart tactical moves up his sleeve.
I just want to chime in real quick and say that there was a great deal amount of build up to the Night King. Pretty much the whole end of season 7 is trying to convince everybody that this motherfucker's coming, so we need to band together to survive this, right? I get it.
And then he never reaches King's Landing. What the fuck? What the fuck?
I mean, that's kind of a given though, because the North is always winter. Like they've stated that from the very beginning. Like,
I don't like that. I mean,
then you didn't pay attention.
No, I paid attention. It's just, I don't like that the Night King ends at Winterfell. If that is his true ending, I don't like that at all.
So as we, end season 7, the real enemy, right, to pretty much everybody as far as Jon and the rest of humanity is the Night King, right? Yeah. The Night King is coming. He's gonna fucking kill us. Like, we need to get together, right? Night King fucking shows up and dies in one fucking episode, man.
But how do you tell a story with so much build up and expect it? Like, how do you expect it to end? He dies? No. Seriously though, he either dies at Winterfell or he dies in episode 6.
Okay, so
what's the difference?
I'm okay with him dying though. The thing is that I know he's supposed to die, right? He should die, right? But it's not about him dying that bothers me, because I don't expect more for him to reach King's Landing. The thing is how he dies. There is no climax to it, man. You just see fucking Arya just jump from behind.
I mean, okay, and I get that. Trust me, I'm not 100% happy with the way he died. But the fact that this show's based on humanity, it's based on war. The reason everything went down the way it did is because the fact that they killed a king that was just fucking mad, and then it's not like the other king was any better. It's basically showing the failures of monarchy and the fact that people could just be fucking shitty. And here's the thing, to me, like, humanity and, like, based on how they are as people and how power is too much for one person, that's what they're trying to display. Like, yes, the Night King was a huge build-up, and the way he got fucking cut out, which, honestly, I don't agree with. Something I want to make very clear, that Arya's killing Night King was something I didn't see come in, but it wasn't necessarily satisfying for me. But as far as the storytelling-wise,
Totally blew your mind, though.
Yeah, it blew my fucking mind.
I mean,
Like,
for somebody who doesn't want to hear anybody talk throughout the episode, he was like, "What?
No.
What?"
Arya fucking jumping back, and I was like, "What the fuck,
dude, yeah.
But then it sunk in, and I'm just like, "That's it." Like just one stab and this motherfucker's gone. I'm just like,
I really thought he was gonna kill her, but when I saw that dagger fall, but you see, the thing is, it's like, I mean, obviously the writers wrote the episode this way, but when you think about how the characters are moving about and everything, how were they ever gonna get out of there? How were they ever gonna retreat? You know what I mean?
See, and that's what
you know,
I'm saying. Because more than anything, like it's such an obvious answer, you know. And the fact that they took an out as far as like this is the wild card move, and it really is. I mean, like when you really look at it, and the fact that again throughout the battle, a lot of our favorite heroes
die,
or not necessarily die, but also
say name a badass who died besides
again, no one, everyone that mattered is alive.
Lyanna Mormont.
Well, I thought Beric dying. I thought for me,
he was meant to die because the fact
but-
that his reviver is not alive.
No,
that's just part of it.
No, I agree, but I feel like the way he died was really awesome because if you pay attention,
that's pretty
especially to the
symbolic. Yeah, I agree.
symbolism, he literally has his hands apart like Jesus Christ. And I mean that kind of shows like how much he was willing to sacrifice himself for. He was literally willing to lay his life down in the same way Jesus Christ was, in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To save the people. That's what his goal was. What really bothers me in a sense, but maybe gives me a little bit of hope for the next 3 episodes, is that, you know, if his sacrifice was for the Night King and the Night King died so easily, like that kind of sucks in a sense. But if the episodes are somehow trying to build out it, and kind of like a little bit of a twist, showing you that, you know what, the Night King isn't the ultimate evil, but Cersei is the ultimate evil. And if they find a way to be able to build that up, to build it up further than we've seen it, that might be satisfying.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I think humanity in itself, like we've had very, very many discussions on how the will to be evil is such a real fucking thing. And here's the thing. You got Cersei, which we're also wondering if she's pregnant.
She's not.
Which
she's definitely not. She's lying.
Wait, before we move on to Cersei, they end season 7 building up the Night King as the ultimate evil. That's where I ended because yes, I know that Cersei and Daenerys are eventually gonna clash for the throne, but they build up the Night King.
But you see, I guess where I'm coming from is that, like, maybe Jon Snow, not that he was wrong, but maybe he didn't realize that there's 2 ultimate evils, like the Night King is an ultimate evil where he's going to just destroy everything. But Cersei is an ultimate evil in the sense that if she wins, everything that they've fought for is destroyed. Because if she wins, the Starks are destroyed. Everyone who's ever been against her is destroyed. She would erase everything, which goes back to what Sam says, which is that death is, destroying the memories of who we are, is the death of us. You know what I mean? And that's why he says, like, it's important to save Bran because Bran is the world's memory, in the same way that the Maester in season 7 tells, Sam, we are the world's memories, Like, I think Cersei might be that kind of, because she's able to think in a sense that, in a way that the Night King can't think.
So Cersei will get her turn, I wanted to end the Night King in a fucking badass way, right? I'm not saying that Cersei's not going to be a big evil at all, but Cersei's going to get her turn.
So the fact they showed how powerful, obviously the whole army was not satisfying you, because again, we go back to the episode 1, talk about the Umbrians and how that was, honestly, in my opinion, not necessary, because I know he wanted to see them get destroyed, but then we saw him destroy. What'd she say she brought? She brought 100,000, right? Around roughly that number.
Who?
Daenerys brought 100,000.
No. She has like 8,000 in Solid. She has like maybe 6,000 Dothraki at most.
Honestly, I don't know the number, but the fact that like there's an unknown enemy that again, is not to Westeros, but gets defeated in a fucking minute, really.
Yeah. I mean, the fact
and
that the
all
whole
I'm saying is, like, I think it's very satisfying because I think they show a very in-depth power to him.
Yeah.
But also, like, it has to bring an end because there's an obvious ending if they don't do it this way.
I think it's
I very much appreciate the way they executed it.
I think it's going to be interesting to say, to see what Bran says after all this, because
very fucking true.
Because he did say, how do you know there is an after, maybe he was referring to Night King, maybe he was referring to Cersei, maybe he was referring to something else. I don't know.
But even if he does, and it has to do with the Night King, I don't know how much I'll care now that he's dead, now that I know he's done with, like, I don't care if there's a plot twist and it turns out this motherfucker was like a Bran the Builder or some shit,
Then I don't think you cared of the entire season because the whole season has been politics and power and humans.
The entire show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That
has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with just the Night King.
That is a fucking. It has not always been about Night King.
I'm talking about this episode and why I was disappointed.
No, I know.
So
but
don't say just because I think about this, throws away everything I think about the entire show.
No, but that's what
because that's ridiculous.
That's what you just stated. That's what you just stated.
No, to be fair to Carlos, he has a point. I mean,
just because he has a point doesn't make it right.
I get that, but explain why you think that because of the way I said this that I don't care about the entire show.
Because there's more to this show. White Walkers have always been an obstacle inside this show.
But
they've always been they've never been fronted as the pure enemy. They built him up in the fact that there's a very exaggerated we should be afraid of these people. And yes, the way they extinguished him was very, in my opinion, not what I wanted. Because I wanted to see Jon go one-on-one. I wanted to see a fucking fight. But you know what? At this point, this show has shown me the very shittiest side of humanity and how they do what they want out of selfishness. And they're continuing to show me that. No matter what. And the fact that people have tried to fight, whether they are good or evil, they've shown me that. Or to provide identification of who they are. And I think this episode shows that, where they're all willing to show how good they are. But now, at the end of this huge battle, they need to fight the purest evil, which is Cersei.
Okay, yeah, but I'm not talking about the show as a whole, that it revolves just around the White Walkers. The whole point of this episode, for the most part, was about defeating the Night King. So I'm telling you what I think about the Night King, not about the entire show, right?
Fair.
I don't care, that they're trying to show you the bad parts about humanity or anything. Like, I'm watching the show for what it is and for, what I know about what, I guess, is going on. So I don't give a fuck if it's, like, talking about, like, oh, it shows us, humanity and that this is our worst evil. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm talking about the fucking Night King and how they fucking bring this guy up, like they hype him up and then he just fucking dies just like that.
Honestly, that's fair. When you put it that way, sure. But I guess as an overarching thing, that's what I'm about.
But something I've said to Juan before, which is that something that I was really hoping for, and that's what gives me some hope that maybe there's something more to it. But that would
be bullshit, though. Like the fact that if he just say rises again, it's just a cheap.
Well, hold on. But the thing is that I always thought it was interesting that the Night King was a completely pure evil in the way that Cersei wasn't, because he didn't have any agenda besides the fact that he was going to just destroy all of Westeros. And I thought it was interesting that all these disparate people who have no common ground in the sense that they want their house to be the ultimate one. They want their house to survive past whatever this is. The fact that the fact that they have to come together to fight against something that only has one clear goal, which was a battle that I was wanting to see more, because I thought that ultimately they would fail in a sense because of all their petty squabbles, especially how Jon says in the previous seasons how, like, if we are fighting amongst ourselves, we won't have, like, we won't be prepared for what's to come. The thing is, with killing the Night King in this episode, if he does stay dead, then that means Jon Snow was wrong. You know, that means that they only needed some amount of people to destroy the Night King. That they didn't need all of Westeros, which in that sense does make it disappointing, especially if the Night King does stay dead.
I think that's a weird way to look at it because I get it. Like he brought all these people together, and that kind of defeats the significance of that.
I just thought it was interesting if the show made it a point that, hey, in order to defeat the Night King, you're gonna have to have everybody join together. And that's why I thought in Battle of Winterfell they weren't gonna win, and it seemed like they weren't gonna win, obviously, right? Because everybody was dying, and that the whole point was that in the end, all these people who were fighting over something that was incredibly petty and stupid would have to come together some way or another in order to defeat the Night King. But unfortunately, the Night King is dead, which means that Jon, Sir Davos, everyone who ever said that we weren't ever gonna be able to defeat the Night King unless all of us were joined together to defeat him, they were wrong, because half of Westeros is not with them. I mean, you know, there's Dorne that's not with them. There's the Lannisters that's not with them.
But we never discussed that Dorne was going to come into this play. Like, don't get me wrong, that's like a wild card bingo spot I chose. But we all fucking know that wasn't going to go down. Like, okay, so you're telling me that you rather have this show end where episode 6 they all come together and defeat the Night King?
No,
it's like, I'm sorry, but that's like the obvious ending.
No.
Like, here's the thing. I'm very, very stuck on the fact that this wasn't obvious. We all could agree right here, all three of us, that when we saw this ending, we were like, "What? The fuck?"
I think it's half and half. I think it's
no.
Half of it was obvious, half of it wasn't. You know,
but Can you say that? That like,
yes,
exactly.
The fact that you could say that that half of you was saying, yeah, the Night King was gonna die. The other half was like, no, he's not. But the thing is that it's not that I wanted them to come all together in episode 6 and defeat the Night King. It's that I wanted to see what was the outcome of them trying to come together, especially with the fact that Jon Snow says so many times, you know, not all the we can't stop them. Not if all the Sovereign Kings were the band together could stop them. And then it just ends.
So why is it not a plot twist for you? The fact that they do. Like no, like I don't understand that. Like here you're here asking me.
Hold on.
Like if they had all these people to stop them. So just the fact that they had less people to stop them.
Well, I think
what's the issue? And mind you, you're the one who called this a 10 out of 10. So all I'm saying out of this,
I'm coming from the point if the Night King, if the White Walkers in general just stay out of the picture, then the score is gonna lower for me for now. But I'm not sure. That's why for me, giving it a score, it's hard.
The fact that you give it a 10 out of 10,
it's hard.
We could both obviously agree that that's not a thing.
The thing is, if the White Walkers, if something happens in the future, if something happens in the later episodes that brings them, I'm not saying maybe it brings them back. If there's something more to what's happening in the world of Westeros, then the episode will stay as a 10 out of 10 for me. Now, if it ends up being predictable in the sense that, okay, now they defeated the Night King, and now they're gonna go to Cersei, you know, like Daenerys says in the preview for the next episode, she says, we won the Great War. Now let's, you know, win the last war. If that's exactly what happens, even if more people die, let's say, let's say against Cersei, you know, Sir Davos and more people die, but in the end they still defeat Cersei. I think the show becomes incredibly predictable. You could have predicted that the Night King was going to die in episode 3. You could have predicted that Cersei was going to die in episode 5.
But you didn't, did you? Like, you were the one fighting me last episode. You were the one specifically fighting me that wouldn't happen. I mean, and it fucking did.
Yeah, it did. And I actually, not that I want to say, I predicted this, but
You did though.
Yeah, but I mean, no, yeah, but I don't want it to be like, yeah,
You
well,
did.
I was able to predict this. But
I'm gonna give you some credit, buddy.
basically, the way I put it is that, you know, there's only 6 episodes, right? After this episode, you only got 3 episodes, so you got to wrap this motherfucker up, right? I just didn't expect for it to be wrapped up
So
that
quickly.
easy. Like, okay, so I get it. You know,
Yeah,
if you
no,
look,
I agree.
if you look at it in the perspective of like, you know, it wasn't easy for Arya to get to the Night King. I get it, but show me that, you know, show me the struggles. Not she's just fucking like, not today, and she just fucking runs off, and then you don't see her again until, you know, it's like slow motion after he kills Theon, and you just see this bitch.
Well, yeah, no. I'm never happy with the way this played out as far as how they executed. But as an episode as a whole, the fact that they showed me some unpredictable stuff, they did. I mean, there
I
was,
agree.
You know what I mean? And
I guess, at least for me, I have to wait and see the whole season in order for me to.
think-
What it all holds.
Yeah,
no, I
because
agree. Yeah, for sure.
because, yeah, in the end, once I see the whole season, more than any other seasons, this episode, my rating on it will change dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
Or
I'm
stay the
sure.
same.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, like if I had to go back, because I gave first episode, I gave first episode an 8. I guess second episode, I want to say a 9.
And I give the first episode a 6, but I give the second episode a 9 as well.
And I think you're dumb for that.
I don't think I'm dumb.
I mean,
I think I'm just.
I mean,
smarter.
not necessarily dumb, but I just think you think too much about the technical aspect.
I never think too much about the technical aspect. In my opinion, I give everything a fair shake. But in the end, it's and you see
You're
with
the one
this.
who likes Fast and Furious, but that's a different argument.
No,
Later.
I give everything a fair shake. But the thing is,
Piece of shit.
if this ends up being true, like the Night King staying dead in episode 10, that's gonna make me hate episode 1 and 2.
You already did.
Not 2, but
liar.
it's gonna make me hate episode 1 even more. It's gonna make me want to. For me, it's gonna make if the Night King stays dead in episode 3, it's gonna make it's. Let's say that is what it is, and then Game of Thrones becomes really predictable. But if it is what it is, episode 1 to me is like a 2 out of 10 because like all that stuff that they show, it's just pointless. It's
Okay.
fucking pointless.
That's super dumb.
No.
That's a dumb win.
At
No,
the end
no,
of the
no.
day, so if they, you know, somehow have some fucking crazy ass plot twist where the Night King is back, then fuck season 8. To be honest,
Fuck what?
Fuck season 8.
I'm all in agreement with Carlos on that because the fact they bring him back, that'd be fucking dumb.
I'm not saying that they would bring him back, but
it's
hey,
like
look,
the fake out. Like, have you seen Walking?
Look,
You saw Walking Dead. Hold on. Very perfect fucking example here. You saw Walking Dead.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure you saw this far too. When
No.
I might spoil it for you. Sorry if I do. But point is that time where they fake out when Glenn dies.
That's
And
true.
then they fucking bring him back like 2 episodes later. That is the stupidest
No.
fucking way.
No, well,
So-
you
so-
see, but
no,
The
no.
Walking Dead, the reason it's stupid in The Walking Dead,
It's
because
stupid
they,
here. If they the
No,
fact
no.
that they bring him
No,
like,
the-
sorry.
okay, sorry.
This is getting fucking heated. But
The
the
reason-
fact that the fucking Night King would come back after they defeat him so easily is exactly why I would agree with him
No,
now,
but
and that's a 6.5.
but the reason
that
why,
would be a 6.5
No,
if
but
that's
the-
the case.
no, but the
like,
reason Walking Dead, I'm just saying the reason Walking Dead
fuck
sucks.
you. Like, no, dude.
The reason Walking Dead sucks is because it makes it so obvious that Glenn doesn't die. Obviously,
Dude, go
it makes
fuck
it so
yourself.
obvious
No,
that he doesn't die in that episode.
You're so full of
All right,
shit, dude. It's because you already
getting
knew
off
that.
topic.
Yeah,
Yeah, we really are.
fuck The Walking Dead. I mean,
Yeah,
Just-
if we gotta say that. Yeah, fuck The Walking Dead.
my final thoughts on this episode is, you know, definitely starts off great. You know, I talked about the tension, the panic, you know, the preparation for all this, you know, the Dothraki being the first to lead the charge, and then ultimately you just see them, you know, kind of dwindle out, you know, in the distance, and then seeing Dany's reaction to that, you know, fucking great, right? All the scenes of the dragon battles up in the sky, fucking great, right? You know,
Dope.
like there's that one scene where that one shot where it's kind of like from far away and you just see both the dragons kind of flying above that mist or smoke or whatever he has. I mean, beautiful shot, you know, right? Like looks really good, right? Some of the deaths were cool, you know. Lyanna Mormont, the way she went out, you know, I told Stephanie from the minute they introduced her, I was like, oh, this this
Yeah,
little girl's a
she's
badass, man. Like,
Yeah.
not only is she like, super cute, but she's fucking feisty, dude.
She kills
So-
a giant, dude.
Yeah.
That's
She
nobody.
kills a fucking giant.
Yeah,
Not
so-
everybody's
Skywalker.
able to do that.
So to
I agree.
talk about a, not necessarily a small character, right? But, somebody who's not really important to the overall story go out with such a bang.
I
Right.
do have to say, the director had compared this episode a lot to he compared it to the Battle of Helm's Deep and Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
You mean the movie about walking?
He compared it a lot to the Two Towers, and I have to say, I don't think the battle is as good as Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. Oh, you've seen it yourself.
haven't, but I mean, I can just tell you right now. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
not.
a very
it's not as
fair
good.
battle. Like I was really surprised
mean,
on how there
it's-
was very
it's
little
because-
to it,
it's
but it was
because
good.
You see Battle of the Bastards, you see Hardhome, and you want to see more of that in an hour. But
there's
hold
not
on,
a
hold
lot.
on. No, but hold on. You see Battle of the Bastards, and you see Hardhome, and you want to see more of that in an hour, but you don't really get that. You know what I mean? And I see where he was trying to go with it, but I don't ultimately agree with everything that he did in the episode. But I don't know. I mean, I think season 8, for me, in the end, season 8 in general is going to be a big wild card. Whether or not I like the season,
Fucking
I love the
duh,
season,
Albie.
or I hate the season.
No,
I mean, just to I guess wrap up my side. I mean, I already told you I came into this with it being rushed, with it fucking being plot holy, but the fact that they gave me an outcome that I did not expect satisfies me. You know what I mean? And the fact that the second act of this whole thing revolves around Cersei, and the fact that I can't come up with necessarily a theory that is correct or not right. I mean, I'm calling it now. Jaime will fucking kill Cersei, and Tyrion will die, and I will be heartbroken.
I still don't see how all the storylines are going to come together in the end.
Well, see,
Like-
you didn't see this come together either, so I don't fucking care what you think. So at the end of the day, like, this is a great, like, don't get me wrong, without source material, it's a very solid season, with the very accepting fact that there's no source
A
material.
part of me still yearns for the earlier years of Game of Thrones.
Well, no shit. I mean, no shit.
Robert Trevelyan.
If we could all talk about that, we'd be here forever.
But okay, as far as season 8 goes, I'm definitely kind of in the middle. Depending on where these next 3 episodes take us, will determine whether I think it's a great season or it's it definitely fell short.
I mean, I think for sure it's going to be divisive, but I mean, I have to imagine that they got more tricks up their sleeves. Let's say the Night King does stay
It's
dead.
like you said, but not the whole coming back night. You're wrong.
Let's say he does stay dead, right? And I'm probably wrong. I mean, I don't see how he would come back. They haven't showed any reason or whatever for him to come back. And they did, they did reference it in season 7, episode 6, when, Barrack said, if you get him, you would get everybody. But I have to wait and see whether or not season. I mean, I guess that's what happens, right? With something like, say, Avengers or something. Hold on. With something like Avengers or Lord of the Rings, anything that's gonna end in its final, part, is that you have to see it all the way to the end. And I think what puts Game of Thrones in a kind of interesting spot versus something like Avengers is the fact that you don't know all of it until the 6 weeks have passed, And until the 6 weeks have passed, will we know for sure whether or not this season was great or whether or not it was terrible.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think, again, going off, like, I think episode 1 is when I was explaining, like, no source material. It's going to be fast-paced. I will always feel at this point that it's going to satisfy me because unless I answered my own question, then it will not satisfy me. The fact that it's different, the fact that it surprises me. Again, Arya being the one that, like, at least for me, like, the second dislike start for me, because her arc was very random. It was very out there, and it was just something that I never cared for. And it ended up to the symbolic worshiping of the god of death, and the fact that she killed the god of death means something to me. And, we didn't even dive deep into this. I think we were just arguing about the fact whether this was a good episode or not.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that I feel like this episode gave, and it wasn't just a battle. You know what I mean? And though the battle sequences were cool and the use of extras was cool,
That's what they made it seem like. It was going to be an hour and 30 of just a fucking battle, and it wasn't, right? And given there are some badass
fair.
parts, right?
That's very fair.
That's where I don't agree with everything that he did, especially.
All right, 10 out of 10. Shut the fuck up.
Arya, Arya being the one to do that blow. Okay, cool. I like that. It's just the way it didn't happen, the way it happened, right? But besides that, I think we stayed too long on just what the fuck the Night King. What was up with that guy? But
yeah, that was a pretty long segment, I guess.
What's your thought on the way what's his name, fucking Theon went out?
Dude,
not satisfied.
So
Throwing it out there.
Yep. No, I gotta agree. The fact that he was like, dies. What the fuck?
For my part, I was really satisfied until but you see, the thing is, I feel like in that moment, like Theon realizes like who he is, especially because we find out in the trailer who Bran was telling that, all that you've done, has led you here home. And it's fitting that Theon dies at home, right? But it also makes me wonder if, because of what Theon did, it made the Night King just that little bit more cocky and just that little bit more open to being attacked by somebody like Arya. And in that sense, I do like how Theon goes out. That would be my explanation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it, to me, the way it ended with Bran, obviously he took over Winterfell back in season 4? Season 4 is when he took over. Theon, when Theon took over Winterfell, and he was season 2.
Yeah,
God,
it was straight up. Yeah,
fuck.
Yeah. It's pretty early on.
Anyways, I don't really think there was a lot to overall redeem there, for the most part, because Bran straight up forgave him before he could even say anything. And then just the way he, I don't know, the way he goes out, I know Juan talked about how he just ran with the spear and he just taken out so quick.
I think him running with the spear and everything is a product of Bran telling him that he was a good man and everything. And I think Bran must have known, kind of like Doctor Strange in Avengers. He must have known there's a way for them to get out of this, right? And he must have known that what he was saying was gonna, inform Theon's decisions. And the fact that he tells him, Theon, you're a good man, or Theon, hey, all that you've done has led you home, that might have caused Theon to, do what he did to Night King to lower his sense of guard.
Like a boost of confidence. That's actually pretty dark if you think about it. So what if Bran just kind of gave him this whole pep talk to kind of lead him to okay, so here's Theon, super high on fuck yeah, redemption, and he goes and ultimately attacks the Night King and dies. But Bran knows that the only way Theon was gonna do that was to kind of hype him up and get him pumped. That's actually kind of dark though.
Yeah, it is dark, but it fits for the Three-Eyed Raven, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, like he is manipulating what he needs to do to survive.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
The
way Theon went out was obviously not satisfying for me, because Theon is such a interesting character. The fact that I had to like him, to hate him, root for him, and then feel sorry for him, and all in the same ways, is just someone that I think did not have a satisfying ending. The fact that he got killed so easily, but mind you, if he didn't do what he did, none of it would have played out the way it did. If he wasn't there, it would have not played out the way.
I really
Which
do.
is something, again, I appreciate, because the fact, their use of characters and how stuff plays out, I'm all for it.
No, but also
I'm just not satisfied.
But also when you see Theon and what he's doing, he dies hero stuff, and he goes out in slow motion and everything. But I really do think that because they filmed it like that, that I really do feel like a show like Game of Thrones is really a show that doesn't have anything that's gonna be pointless. You know what I mean? So I really do feel like by the time we finish the season, we'll realize that what Theon did was exactly what the Night King needed in order for him to kind of lower his guard down, in a sense.
And that's where I'm getting at too. I mean, everything's happening right now because Braun knew. Now that this is all over, I feel like you go into a mysterious void that he doesn't know, or maybe he does.
Yeah.
So the fact that like it opens that into interpretation, that it makes me wonder what happens next.
I would say that with the whole, like when he said to Jamie, like, how do you know there's an after? I think he's not just referring to the Night King. He might be referring to, Cersei and whatever it is that comes after that.
No, and this brings. I mean, there's more. We could talk about this, but I think again, like to me, Cersei was always the true evil. I mean, she never stirred from her ways, and also it's showing through many. It's showing through Dany. It's showing through a couple other people that are very selfish about the throne, and I don't know. I still, as much as like, okay, I guess at this point, I want to talk about Dany's actions. I mean, at this point, like. I've been very negative towards Dany's reactions on Jon and just the overall throne. But she could let Jon die. If we go back on that scene where Jon's fighting all the risen White Walkers, and she could have let him die. But she straight up obviously called Dracarys or whatever and killed all the fucking White Walkers. And she let him live because obviously she knows how significant and how much she loves him, which was probably the better half or the better cornerstone for me for her.
Yeah, and that's why I think that regardless of what she feels about Jon being, Aegon Targaryen, what, the fifth or the sixth? I think it's the sixth.
I want to say six.
Yeah,
right.
That although it bugs her, she might have some sort of, I guess, plan to, make it work with what she wants, right? Because I don't see her, definitely going mad because, she definitely cares for Jon. She loves Jon. She saved Jon. If she didn't want Jon to take the throne or she felt threatened, she just could have let him die. Right? Because
and that's what I agree with in this whole episode. The fact that now I don't think she's evil.
Yeah.
I don't think she's turning now because she could have.
Because
at the end of the day, I mean, mind you, like one of the dragons got killed.
Yeah.
And she was not necessarily ignored that fact, but the fact that she's just like, no, we're just trying to survive.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think I definitely think in the end Daenerys doing what she did kind of like closed that storyline in the sense of like she knows what she's fighting for, which I think everybody in that episode has finally realized that they know what they're fighting for. They're fighting for life, I think Arya understood that when if you see like when Arya was being saved by the Hound, she really cared for whether or not Beric survived. You know what I mean? You could see it, in the way she spoke and everything. And I really do think that goes to Daenerys as well. Like, I think this experience has completely formed the way they're going to carry themselves going forward.
I mean, I really hope so. I mean, unfortunately, Dany is a very inconsistent person. I mean, I think at this point, like, the fact that Jorah, again, like, I talked about in season 2, how she's been that light, that faith that she'll be a better person because of Jorah. And with Jorah getting, killed,
where does that put her?
I hope that's a full shit.
I mean,
he's gone, and I need to be what he wanted me to be.
Well, I mean, I think everybody understands that. I don't know. I mean, just looking at the preview, I think everybody's gonna understand that Cersei is another true evil. They refer to.
I think we can all agree to that.
It's possible that they refer to the Night King as the Great War, and they refer to Cersei as the Last War. But what if Cersei is the Great? What if Cersei is the Great War?
No, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like the fact that they made her the Great War for the most part is very true. I mean, Cersei has been a very consistent evil. I think
she's done a lot of evil things. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it shows back when you go to season 3 or 4 when she's talking to the witch. She was very unafraid of this witch, and she also told the future. You know, and she was very willing to endure this and just kind of see where she goes, because I think there's a special kind of evil that is very well aware of who they are. They just want to know the positive outcomes. But unfortunately for her, what's only made her more evil is that the fact that there's no positive outcomes. And she's grown into this person where I know everyone's stating that she's not pregnant, but it's very possible that she is.
No, I think she's not pregnant for sure.
And I think, to me, that if she is, that's the only reason she is fighting this.
No, I think she's pregnant. I mean, I think she's not pregnant for sure. I think she's a liar. She's evil through and through.
I just don't see the gain, you know, of her being pregnant. Maybe it'll sway Jamie's decision when it comes down to, you know, killing her.
I doubt it.
Yeah, no, and that's what I think. As far as season 7's concerned, I think that was her ploy to really make her, you know, have Jamie buy into this. No, fuck the North.
One thing I don't think Cersei realizes is that because of what she did, which has not helped the North with the army of the dead, they are gonna be livid with her. Everyone's gonna want her dead, and I don't think anything she says or anything she does to defend herself is gonna affect anyone in wanting her to be dead. Because of her, they lost thousands of people, and because of her, they're gonna want her. That's why it's so great when Daenerys says we're gonna root her out, root and stem. Like, they're gonna obliterate her. Not a single one of them is ever gonna see Cersei's way again. I think at this point, Cersei has completely lost any sympathy with any of them. But
with that, the fact that Daenerys is willing to go so deep as root and stem, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to question Dany's, you know, intentions, but where does that lead? Where does that go? Like, the fact that, like, at this point, like, it leads to an end that, I mean, it's fine, but you know, like, where does it go? I mean, like, at this point, like, who's right? You know what I mean? Like, who's better? Because you even said it yourself last episode that, or I don't even know if it was said in the episode, but you talked about, like, the political ploy of releasing the slave. Like, is that really the case? Because, I mean, here, again, Dany's intention this episode could very much lead her to be the leader, just because it does not... She realizes that, and it's a political move.
I do think that at first I thought that what Daenerys was doing was a political move at some point, but the fact that the Night King is dead now, I can't really put my mind to it. I really think that she really did think that she was doing something good when she saved those slaves back in the earlier seasons, and it wasn't just a political ploy.
Yeah, I mean, just my 2 cents in the whole thing, and, you know, how it ends and where it's going.
Yeah.
I don't know who talked about it or what article, but you know that Game of Thrones released like a whole playlist, right? We talked about it at work.
Oh yeah,
right?
That's true.
So,
song playlist.
Yeah. So it was a song playlist. I'm listening to it on Spotify, and I've listened to, you know, a couple songs. Haven't really made sense of them, but just the titles, you know, in general. One that stands out is "Power" by Kanye. So the lyrics in Kanye's in that song is not one man should have all that power.
Yeah.
And to me, I honestly think that's how, you know.
That's how what?
It ends.
Oh, it ends. For sure.
So, and Sir Davos talks about it, you know. Either in the first episode, he's walking with Tyrion, and what the fuck? Who else is with him?
No, yeah, it's Tyrion and Varys.
Varys, right? And he says, like, why not just one time in, like, Westeros, like, shitty history, like, we're just ruled by one honorable man and one just woman, right? So I honestly think that, you know, not that this is exactly how it ends, but this is a hint that, you know, I don't think we're going to have just a king or a queen of Westeros. We're going to have, like, you know, several rulers.
I hope at the very least that the way we get there is unpredictable, in the same way that the Night King was predictable. If it stays unpredictable in that sense, even with Cersei, then I will be satisfied. If it's not unpredictable and Cersei dies, and sure, you have half of the good characters die, and half of the good characters still stay alive, and we all learn that monarchy wasn't the way to go, and it should be a democracy if anything, or something like that, then that's disappointing for me.
I don't know if you have some final thoughts.
I mean, as far as that realm, I mean, I'm enjoying it regardless. At this point, I think they truly know at this point, like, where they're going, and, you know, whether it's predictable or whether it's not. I mean, I think it's a fit end of where they wanted this to go, considering without source material. And also, too, like, I also think, you know,
it's interesting that you bring up the point about source material, because I really do think that if the Night King died in episode 3, it's probably pretty obvious that the Night King is going to die early on in book 7 or whatever book that Martin makes.
And that was my next point. Like, I think Martin has guided that. Yeah. You know, I think he shows that, like, no matter what, like, I think this is a very fit end, no matter how it ends at this point. And I'm very satisfied at this point. I think my average at this point is like an 8.7.
Yeah.
And
I think for sure, like, the whole series in general has always upended your expectations. But the very first thing that upended your expectation was Ned dying. And you thought, how could the show go on? But somehow it did. And now that the Night King has died, and I'm pretty sure they got that from Martin's outline, maybe Martin himself, he knows that, yeah, sure, people are going to think, like, they're not going to like this or whatever, but maybe the way he ties it up in the end, it's going to make us satisfied in some way or another, in the same way, you know, Ned died at the end of season 1.
I mean, it's like I told you, like, I know I didn't like this show until Red Wedding, but it's like I told you, at this point, I don't think they could steer me wrong. I mean, I think they know what they're doing, and I'm very happy with it. I mean, the fact that I didn't see this coming, again, it doesn't make me like Arya in any shape or form, but the fact that it gave me not necessarily a plot twist, but something that I didn't see coming, and it shows more that there's something happening with Jon and Daenerys, and whether they end up together as king and queen, or they
isn't
end
it kind
up
of
as...
interesting that, like, just sorry for interrupting you,
No,
but, like,
you're good.
Isn't it kind of interesting that, like, their whole, you know, issue kind of, like, got stopped, and now they can actually continue it because they've lived past, you know.
Yep. No, and I think that's what's cool. I mean, the fact that they have to talk about this again. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's no, we're dead. You know, it's more like, hey, we're here, we're in this,
and
let's figure it out.
And it might be that Game of Thrones is that kind of story where it did have an ending. Battle of Winterfell was that ending. Mm-hmm. But Game of Thrones is the kind of story where it's going to give you more after the fact. And that's interesting. I want to see what that is, but if it's going to be satisfying, I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, just my final thoughts on this. I'm actually super excited to, now that, you know, I guess that the Night King is over and done with for the most part, that they get to something we haven't really, you know, seen a lot of, and it's just them talking about, you know, who Jon really is, and if they're gonna tell the rest of their, you know, party, army, you know, councils, and like everybody who's, you know, a part of them, like, who Jon really is. And I'm actually super excited to see that happen. So, like, although this episode was a letdown for me in, you know, many ways, I'm still excited for, I guess, what the rest of it holds.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be unpredictable. And interestingly enough, if Jon hadn't done what he did, Arya would have never heard of Battle of the Bastards, and she would have never gone to the North, and she would have never been there to defeat the Night King. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's crazy. Like, it's all surrounded around Bronn, whatever the fuck his name is.
Bran.
You know, like, it's crazy, man. They had an end game, you know, and I think for me, like, again, not enjoying 3 seasons at this point until realizing what its greatness is something I'm very satisfied with, and I think I'm still going to call it. I'm very satisfied where it's going. The fact that the Golden Company is still an issue, the fact that Yara, like, when she finds out about Theon, when, like, you know, there's still a lot that is to be told. You know, and there's a big story in this whole thing, and
my final piece here. What's sorry? Wrap up.
No, it's good. It's crazy to me, and I think there's a lot that they're gonna say, and I'm very excited. 3 episodes, 3 weeks of this, and that's it. And God willing, I'm very okay with how they end it.
So, just not necessarily for us to discuss, but just a question you all should think of. So when we do, the next podcast next week, if there's any information we can talk about it. But the Golden Company, we really haven't seen much of them. So, I guess something I would like for you all to think about, or probably possibly bring to the table next time is like, how do you think they're gonna react when they find out who Jon and that they're fighting against legit Targaryens, right? Because the Golden Company was founded by Aegor Rivers, which also goes by Bittersteel. He was a bastard Targaryen who founded the Golden Company, right? So because of that, do you all think, that this is gonna, fuel their rage and want to take them down? Or do you think because it's been so long, that they'll completely turn on Cersei and, support the Targaryens? Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, as far as just one little quick thing for the next episode, as far as predictions go, I really do think that because, in the books, at this point, Aegon Targaryen is the supposed Aegon Targaryen is going to Westeros with the Golden Company. And the fact that the shows have combined characters in the books, just like Gendry, his story is a combination of a lot of characters put into one. I really do think that, yeah, I mean, this whole point is that everyone's gonna freaking hate Cersei, and that's gonna be interesting. And I do think at some point the Golden Company is gonna be against Cersei as well, and who knows what happens from there.
And again, question is that for different reasons why they go against Cersei, or is it because they find out that they're fighting against Targaryens, the last 2 Targaryens,
I mean,
I think once they find out that it's not just Daenerys Targaryen, but Aegon Targaryen, the heir to the Iron Throne, the son of Rhaegar Targaryen, that's what's going to push them over the edge.
And also the fact that, like, I'm pretty sure they've heard about her curse. I'm pretty sure they've heard about basically everything that surrounds that. But the fact that there's a male heir pushes them more. But also, I'm really hoping that they have their own intentions. I mean, I really hope there's more to this whole situation.
That'd be super dope,
Yeah.
Another Blackfire rebellion. But unfortunately, I don't think we have enough time for another fucking rebellion.
Yeah, I mean, with 3 episodes
of rebellion,
it's pretty tight. Yeah, it's pretty tight.
Well, I mean, if these 3 episodes go as fast as some of the episodes in season 7, might be possible.
So you're talking about like if there's a possible time skip where shit happens and this next episode and then it skips to like maybe a year or 2 later and now they're in a full-fledged rebellion.
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be cool, but do we have enough time to wrap up a rebellion?
I mean,
yeah,
who knows?
that
I mean,
specifically, I wouldn't enjoy it because the fact that like
they go 5 years in the
time skip. Well, I mean, that's a different fucking story though. Like,
I know. But what I'm saying is that these stories, the one thing they have in common is that they're unpredictable. As much as we wanted to predict that the Night King was going to die, did we actually think the Night King was going to die? Of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we both did.
Well, I mean, but I didn't think that they were actually going to do it. And the fact that they did it is amazing
I mean,
in the sense that now the next 3 episodes are going to be completely unpredictable.
No,
I think I'm
sorry,
getting
go ahead,
myself
go ahead.
in
All this rides on a Blackfire actually still being alive, and from what I know, there's no Blackfire. All the Blackfires are taken out. So I guess there can't be a Blackfire rebellion without a Blackfire.
Well, I'm not saying that there will be a Blackfire rebellion, but I think most of them will know.
You said it in the car,
importance
dude.
of
You said it in the car. When we looked at every trailer, every teaser, it all involved this first act.
Yeah,
and now
that's
we're
true.
going into this next second act.
Haven't you noticed that? That by this point we've seen everything in all the trailers and teasers?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, but that's all I'm saying. Like, the fact that they led it up to this point is what's going to make it great, man. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. I mean, honestly, in the end, that's the most we can do. Yeah, I guess that's gonna do it for all of our thoughts on Game of Thrones. For me, Albie and for Carlos and Juan. We've had a lot of thoughts about where Game of Thrones is gonna go. We ultimately don't know where Game of Thrones is gonna go because it can be unpredictable or it can be really predictable. We really don't know. And that's gonna be about it. And this is gonna be Beer Break signing out for Game of Thrones season 8, episode 3, The Battle of Winterfell.
Trash.
Fuck you. It was not trash.
All right, end the shit.
Yeah, just
Done.